Hey guys, welcome back to Doing a DIY. If you're new here, my name's Allison. I'm so happy to have you here. I hope that you'll consider subscribing so that we can DIY together. Today I have 4 easy projects that are mostly Dollar Tree, a little bit of Hobby Lobby stuff thrown in there that anybody can do. I think you guys are really going to love these. These are high-end decor pieces that will look perfect in your home. We're going to start out with this super easy little home sign. I love it so much, and it was so simple to do. I'm just using one of the small rectangular signs from the Dollar Tree. These were the Easter signs, but they have them for every single holiday. I've seen them for the 4th of July and summertime in my store as recently as this week, so you should still be able to get these. I'm just going to go ahead and take some Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. That is my go-to paint color. And somebody told me that Walmart is going to stop carrying Waverly in favor of their own store brand. So I'm excited to try that. I have not the highest hopes because I love Waverly, but I'm going to give it a try. So we're going to give that a coat of paint and let that dry. And then I'm going to take several medium-sized craft sticks. We're going to make a frame around our sign. I would tell you the number that I use, but if you're not using the sign, your number could be different. So we just want to cut the ends off those to make those straight. And then I'm going to use an old favorite, which is apple barrel, brown oxide, and black. And I'm going to make a homemade DIY stain. If you've been around here anytime at all, you know that I love to do this. I don't love to take pre-made stain. I like to make my own. It dries fast, it's less messy, all the above. And you can make it any color you want. And I'm going to go ahead and stain those craft sticks, but also this little wooden home sign, plaque, whatever you want to call it, that I got from Hobby Lobby, half off. I think it was only a couple dollars, and then it was half off that. So I'm going to stain all of that with those colors, and then I'm going to go ahead and measure and glue my pieces of craft stick around my sign to form a frame. Now, I do go back and make some lines to make this look like planks because you guys know how much I love to make everything look like shiplap or wooden planks. I wish I had done it before I put the frame down. It would have made it a little tiny bit easier, but in the end it wasn't that bad. So you're just going to go ahead and cut and measure all of your craft sticks until you have the entire frame around the sign covered. And I'm just using some hot glue. Then I'm just going to go ahead and take that same black from Apple Barrel and just a paintbrush, and I'm using a paint stick to get a straight line. And I'm just going straight down that, trying to make sure they're even. Mine never turn out even. That's okay. And that's what we have. And then I always like to subdue that a whole lot and kind of tone that down. So I'm just going to go straight back over with the Ivory once that has dried, of course, and just tone down those lines so that they kind of look old and not so prominent. And that's what we should have at this point. And then I thought, because I took a little bit of that Ivory and then went around the frame and gave it a little bit of distressing, I also decided to do the same thing with this home sign, and I just kind of stuck to the edges and just a really, really, really dry brush and a light hand and just gave it a little something extra. So then I took one of these metal rings. It comes in a 3-pack from Walmart. I took the middle size one and just a piece of ribbon from the Dollar Tree and looped that over and hooked it to the back. Super easy. And then I'm kind of just trying to see where I want everything to go. Then I decided to use this rosemary pick. This is from Walmart. I think it was 98 cents. It's so pretty and it works perfectly here. I'm just going to wrap them the best that I can around this wooden or this metal hoop. I didn't have any floral wire, so I ended up kind of just wrapping the wire that the picks are on around this, and then I do go back and cover the entire thing with some jute twine, which you'll see in just a second. It was super easy, and the finished product is really effective. I love it. And in the end, I just went ahead and hot glued my home down right in the middle of that circle, and that really was all there is to this DIY. It was so easy, and I love it so much. I hope you guys do too. All right, guys, next up is my favorite of these 4 projects. I am recycling an old DIY. I'm going to link it above. I did this a few months ago, and I love the actual box and everything, but I don't like the way it looks. I hate that antique wax, so that's okay. We're going to go ahead and zhuzh it up a little bit. I like that word, zhuzh. I'm going to start by just taking off these letters. These were just hot glued on there. And I'm just going to take them off using a tool from my Cricut. Super easy. And then I'm going to use that trusty Ivory paint from Waverly, and I'm going to give it a couple good coats. If you did not make that project, all you really need is one of those rectangular signs. It's the same size sign as the last project, and a Dollar Tree wooden crate, and then you just hook the little wooden crate to the front and the middle like you see there, and give it a couple good paint coats of Ivory chalk paint from Waverly. And now we have everything completely painted and dried, and we're gonna go in with a pencil, and I'm using a paint stick to get a straight line, and we're gonna make those planks again. You can skip this part. I really like the way that the finished product turns out. I couldn't imagine not doing this part, but you definitely don't have to. And then I'm just gonna go over those lines with that same black paint. Super easy. And then because I like the look of the lines, but I don't like them to be that prevalent, I'm just going to go back over that exactly the same way as we did before with that Ivory chalk paint just to subdue those lines. You still want to be able to see them, but you don't want them to look like you just painted them on there. You want them to look a little old, like they've been there for a while. And then we're just going to take that Grateful, and this again was from, I don't love to use products from Hobby Lobby because they're a little bit expensive, but these were half off, and most things usually are there, so you can always find these for, you know, a very good price. And some Dollar Trees do have little wooden words and metal words like this. Mine just don't, so that's why I got it at Hobby Lobby. But I'm just going to use some brown oxide mixed with a little bit of water to make a DIY stain. And I'm going to go ahead and go over that just with one coat. I love how light it looked. It was perfect. And then I'm just going to glue that to the front. What I did then is took some floral foam and glued it down into my little crate. And then I just added some boxwood picks, and that could not have been a better choice for this. You can use whatever greenery that you want. I just really like the boxwood. It is my favorite greenery besides lamb's ear. I just didn't have any. And then I wanted to add something to the top, so I took some jute twine and just put a little bit of hot glue on the back and wrapped it around a few times. And then I took a couple of the baby little tiny clothespins that they have at the Dollar Tree and attach that directly onto the twine, and then put a couple pictures of my kids up there, and I love the way this one turned out. Project number 3 is this super easy little trio of houses. I have collected these little wooden houses for probably the better part of a year. A couple of them came from the Dollar General, as you'll see, and that middle one came from the Dollar Tree probably over a year ago. So I had these 3 and I wanted to make a little trio. If you can find little houses that are all the same size, that'll work perfectly. You don't have to have the exact same house as I do to make this little trio. I just wanted something really cute to put on a shelf in my living room to add to my decor, and this was perfect. I'm going to start out by doing a couple coats of Apple Barrel English Navy. It is my favorite blue color, and And I wanted each one of these houses to be a different color and to have a little bit of a different accent on the front, and you'll see that in a minute. Then I'm going to go ahead and take the Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory again, because that's my favorite color, you guys know that. And I'm going to paint one of the houses that color. And each one of these have at least 2 coats of paint on them. Some of the ones that have the words are a little bit harder to cover up, but the chalk paint does a great job of that. And for the third little house, we're going to use the color Moss by Waverly. And we're going to give that third little house 2 coats of that paint, the same as we did the other 2. And then I'm going to take some of those beads again. This is the same pack of beads that I used in a couple DIYs ago, or maybe it was the last one. I'll link it above. And we're just going to string some to make a little wooden bead wreath, which you'll see me do in a second. And the best way I found to string these beads onto some jute twine is to dip the end in some hot glue and just twist it on your finger. And they go right on. It doesn't fray. It doesn't do anything like that. It makes it really easy. So we're just going to string enough of these that it makes a little wreath type deal that goes right in the middle of this little house. And I'm just going to keep these the natural color. You can, of course, make them any color that you want. I just like the natural color. And I'm just going to go ahead and tie that in a couple knots and get my placement going. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue this directly to the house. And then I just made a crude little bow out of some jute twine and hooked that right where I tied the jute twine together. Easy, easy. And for the second one, we're just going to go ahead and take some hot glue and wrap the jute twine around the top a couple times. And you'll see in a couple of these DIYs in this video that I start with one thing and end with another. And this is one of those projects. I just didn't like it until I did, so it took a little while to get it there. And you see me just taking a few little tumbling tower blocks, hooking them together, and attaching it to the bottom of this house because it did not have a base to set it up, and I wanted it to set up with the other 2 on the shelf. And you'll see that right now I was stringing some beads, and we're going to use those in a second, but then I'm just wrapping some jute twine around my hand, and then I'm going to take another little piece and tie it to make a tassel. I don't end up using the tassel because it almost felt too big. If you want to recreate this and you want to make a tassel, you can, of course, do that. No problems at all. It just didn't look right and fit in the way I wanted it to with this project. So just totally ignore this part because this does not stay. So instead of using that tassel, I just went ahead and connected the beads to the jute twine that was at the top like that and added a little bit of greenery. These are just a little teeny tiny pieces from one of the boxwood picks, and I just hot glued those to the top. And for the green one, I just wrapped some twine around and made a little bow. And that's as hard as this one was, but I love the way that it came out. It's so cute. And last but not least is my favorite of all 4 projects. My middle daughter just moved into her own apartment, and she has been asking me to make her all kinds of things. And this was one that I love so much that I wanted to share with you guys that I made for her. It's super easy. It is made out of just a Dollar Tree gift tag sign. This is another project where you see me start with one thing and I end with another. I started with that English Navy from Apple Barrel because I love the color so much, but I was having such a hard time with streaks and getting it to stay consistently the right color that I end up painting it with ink from Apple Barrel, or from Waverly, I'm sorry, chalk paint. And then I just took the top of a little ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I took that off, and I'm going to use that to make, I don't know what it's called, but it's the part that goes around where the string would come out for a gift tag. And then I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that my spacing is right, because if you watched my last video with my lemonade sign, which I loved, I'll link that above, the spacing was not great. So before I made any cuts or anything like that, I wanted to go ahead and lay out my vinyl and make sure everything was going to fit. And then all I did was go ahead and mark an X right in the middle. And then I took a drill and one of the biggest drill bits that my husband had, and just went ahead and drilled straight down through that sign. It's super easy. It goes through with no problem. Then I'm just going to go ahead and take some hot glue and attach that little cardboard circle there. I think it just gives a little something. You definitely don't have to add that if you don't want to. I just like the way that it looked. And now we're just going to go ahead and attach our vinyl. If I can remember, because I did not save this project, I wish that I had. If I can remember the fonts that I used, I will definitely link them below so you can recreate this. I just went into Cricut Design Space and designed it using the fonts that I liked. You can recreate that with your Cricut, or you can definitely print out each word or letter and just scribble on the back with some pencil and then trace it onto your black. It'll show up really great, and then you can just paint it, no problems. But I did go ahead and create this on my own, and like I said, if I can remember the fonts, I will list them below for you if you want to recreate this. Once I have all of my vinyl attached, I'm going to go ahead and make just another one of those little round, I'm going to call it a wreath, but it's not. In this case, it's going to be our O, out of some jute twine and our beads. And then I'm just going to tie it into an actual bow at the top and trim that up. You'll see that I did use these beads, but I use these beads for so many different projects. So even if the pack had been $6.99 and that was the original price and not half off, it would have been worth it because I use them for so many projects. So then we're going to go ahead and just hot glue that O directly on to our sign. And then I'm just going to take a piece of nautical rope and attach it through the top to make our little hanger. And then just tie a knot. And then I thought the top needed something, so I decided to use this pretty little chevron bow. It's chevron and just burlap, I think. It came from the Dollar Tree. I'm using that same tutorial as always to make bows. I will link it for you guys down below. It's super easy. I've not yet found a better way to make a bow. That is my weakness. As I've said 100 times on my channel, I'm really bad at making bows. This lady explains it and makes it easy. These are very, very basic bows, so I'm going to try, coming up for fall and Christmas to do more elaborate bows, so I'm scared about that. But I did want to say that fall videos are coming. I have maybe 1 or 2 more just straight up DIY decor videos, and then we're going to go straight into fall. I cannot wait. Fall and Christmas are my favorite times of the year. I cannot wait to share all the projects that I have in store with you guys. I hope you're excited about that as well. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, I hope that you will so that we can DIY together. I love reading your comments. I love them so much. You guys make me so happy. Every time I see a new comment, I just love opening my YouTube just to see that. So I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you like these projects. If you have anything else you want to say, leave it in a comment for me. You can follow me on Instagram at Doing It DIY with Allie. That's ALLIE. Until next time, you guys, I will see you later. Bye-bye.